U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy is sounding the alarm bells about the hazardous impact of social media. Now, he wants Congress to require social media sites to display warning labels similar to tobacco and alcohol products for starters. Take a look.
Social media is associated with mental health harms for adolescents. Now, warning labels, based on our experience with tobacco and alcohol products, can be useful in both increasing awareness and changing behavior. Congress can put in place the kind of safety standards that will protect our kids from harmful content like violence and sexual content, and protect their privacy and protect them from bullying and harassment online. Congress can also protect kids from the kind of features that would seek to manipulate their developing brains into excessive use.
Yeah, that's probably all true,
Yeah.
you know, but it would really be helpful if Congress could actually get their act together and make some laws.
Yeah. Regulations.
You know, because we can say all of this, but, you know, the monkey's out of the cage, man.
Yeah.
The monkey's out the cage.
Yeah.
And adults also need to be aware and heed these warnings as well, don't you think?
Absolutely. And I think it's a right first step to do a Surgeon General's warning, but they need to do much more actionable things. If you've heard of Jonathan Haidt's Anxious Generation, this book that is just, it's blowing up because it talks about how while there was a rise in phone-based childhood, we lost independent play at the same time. That's why so many of us say we went outside and never came back in. And kids are not the same. There's a lot of parental supervision. There's a lot of screens. And so they saw a rise, 134% increase in anxiety since 2010, 106% increase in depression. And so it talks in this book, it gives you a great outline of advice of how to handle this, like giving children more time to play with children where you're not hovering over those kids, kind of like we did a la the 80s and 90s. But then also, don't give them smartphones. If they have to have contact with you, giving them, I guess they're called dumb phones or gap phones. Push off social media as long as you can, and Congress has to step up because they need regulations for stopping the algorithm. Europe's way ahead of us on this, by the way. We need to increase the age. We need to stop targeted advertising. There's so many things we could do here that are not being done, and I would argue that it is agreed upon in a bipartisan way.
Well, and bipartisan lawmakers have called social media digital fentanyl because it is addictive for young people, for old people. I'm someone who struggles with how much time I spend on it, the impacts I feel on my mental health. And I think of myself, like I'm an adult. When you are a young person whose brain is still forming, you're dealing with hormones, you're dealing with not necessarily being able to contextualize things that an algorithm is teeing up for you. It can be a very dangerous place. The rates of self-harm, suicide, but also body image issues, anxiety and depression. We are failing a generation of young people if we don't try to get our arms around it. But Dr. Murphy says something important in this New York Times piece he wrote, which is the parents, I think, are trying to help, but the onus can't be all on them. This is where Congress needs to come in. But Congress also hasn't done major tech reform in over 20 years. And they tend to, when we watch these hearings, they don't seem to even have their arms around it. An immediate first step is there are apps that you can have your kids download that actually cut off social media after a certain amount of time. Because he writes that after 3 hours, there's a detrimental impact on your health and wellness. So that's a first step parents can implement, but it is a crisis and we're asleep at the switch.
I think you're right. I mean, there are so many things as parents that we can do. Cutting screen time is very important. It really will change your life. It will change your family's dynamics. It will change the lives of your children. I think 3 hours is actually a lot of screen time. You know, my kids have a little less than that. I also will say, you know, my problem is we can do what we can do as parents, and we're on top of it. But what...
Looking at the U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Murthy, we all see that he is talking about the tobacco, about alcohol. If the Congress can come onto a compromise and put a more restraint on alcohol and tobacco on the social media, is going to help the kids, like not to be given too much advertisement, because that's encouraging young people on social media, and that will reduce a lot of violence, a lot of wrong sex. It's going to reduce crime rate. So, the U.S. Surgeon General was really emphasizes on this. So we are women in their view all have their own point of view. According to them, which is true, parents also have to restrict their children from social media. According to them, a child should be allowed to for social media 3 hours a day. After that, the parents can stop it. Because if you let them be, they will abuse it. It is known that after more than 3 hours on TV, on the social media, even on your phone, you start undergoing depression. So too much of phone, too much of watching, too much of the TV on the screen is not very good. That's why since 2010, when smartphones started coming in, the rate of depression have increased, the rate of suicide have increased. So if parents can put a stop, and parents have a role to play on their children by doing that, according to the women in the view. Because if the parents really put a role on that, according to Whoopi, some parents are afraid to tell their children because their kids are going to be angry with them. Whoopi said that her mother used to tell her that, "You're not my friend. I'm your mom, so I'm not your friend." So, for example, the mother will tell them that. So if they ask you to go, if your friend jump through the roof and your friend asks you to jump, so you're going to jump. So the mom is always trying to discipline them, which most people are not disciplining their children. Most people are just letting their children be, and which is not a good impact on their kid. So actually, the women in the view have their own different scenario, their own different stuff to talk about that. So hopefully, what do you really think about that? Because according to them, a child's brain totally form after 25 years. So that's when you are completely adult. But before that, there need to be a lot of restriction. Because nowadays, you see a lot of children, some children even by 5, they already have their phone. Some children by 4, they already have their phone. And they'll be on that phone the whole day, the whole time on that screen. So it's absurd that this type of generation, which type of generation are they going to try to bring? What type of generation is the world bringing out? What type of kids do the world want? What type of what type of leaders are the kids going to become? Are they going to become that leaders that just want to sit on phone every day? So according to the women in the view, the Congress really have to do something, and the Congress have to do it so fast. They talk about AI also. AI is a lot of lie. It brings a lot of stuff, so people have to be aware. According to Joy Bear, she went to the she was shopping, and she saw something about buying that. It was even false because they did not show the complete video. The only video that they showed was a lady just pulling him to come. It's like he was walking stranded. They didn't show the other side that he was speaking to the people. So actually, they will just cut. The social media just cut and paste. And people's brain are so captivating, especially to the wrong stuff that the social media is showing. So actually, what do you think about that? Let me see your own opinion in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching. If you are not subscribed, please help